Hey y'all, welcome back. This tree's all stripey. That means it's magic. Right? I think that's what it means. Okay. There's a lot of bats around. It is a bat sanctuary, so I guess that's to be expected. I like the bat feeders. That's fun. They're fun. And little bat houses. White nose syndrome is still largely a mystery. We suspect that the white fungal growth which appears on bats' faces and wings irritates and confuses them, causing them to awaken early from hibernation and venture outside, depleting stored energy they need to survive through the winter. But biologists are nowhere near curing the disease. It spreads quickly and is highly fatal. In this way, white nose syndrome has drawn some comparison to colony collapse disorders as suffered by bees. White nose syndrome and colony collapse disorder are sudden, violent, and mysterious. While honeybees and split-nosed bat be two more lost species wiped out in geological blink and forgotten to natural history, it's possible that a cure won't be identified in time, so the sanctity of this artificial hibernaculum is the best hope of preserving them. As you leave the Echo River split-nosed bat hibernaculum and sanctuary, please make sure your vehicle and clothing are free of hitchhikers. Oh, hey, guy. Another guy. Alright. So we're going along. Oh, power lines. Wonder if they're actual power lines or just places for bats to hang out. Get it? Hang out? Because they're bats. And they do the whole hanging thing. Alright, so are we at the place now? I feel like we are at the place now. It seems like a place anyway. Though it also seems awfully close to the bat sanctuary. Careful up there, can't drive your new truck if you slip and break your legs. You too, try not to make any more bad deals while I'm gone. I'll just be floating along here. I just mean keep your eyes open and don't look back. Dashiell! Could be bypassed with another capacitor at 100 nanofarads to reduce noise. If your circuit's too noisy, you should tie those floating pins to the ground. Oh, that's a pretty good idea. They're probably picking up all kinds of radio interference. Dashiell Morse, pleased to meet you. We don't install this type of phone for customers anymore, but there are quite a few of them still in circulation. Anyway, the new system doesn't source the current to ring with these old bells, so I'm just trying to come up with a workaround. Maybe a little box the customer could attach right before the wall jack. So you do still work here. On the tugboat they weren't totally sure. Oh, well, yeah, I'm here just about every night. Is this your first time down here? Yeah, I can tell. Your eyes can't quite adjust to the light. It takes some practice. Believe it or not, I've been coming here since I was a kid, for one reason or the next. Back then, this place was a train station. It's true, they had bats then too, but they were considered a nuisance. What'd you come here for as a kid? Usually just came here with my grandmother. We took a train out of town she lived in. or in the other direction, back to my parents' home. In my memories, it was always cold. Winter, I guess. Sometimes now I walk along the tunnel, run my hand along the wet stone walls, and close my eyes, ringing footsteps and the drip, drip, drip of grimy stalactites. Well, the river shifted and this place slowly filled with water, carrying the trains away with the current. It does that, the river, and I don't begrudge it. It's a good reminder that everything we have is borrowed, even trains. Eventually, someone at the Bureau of Reclaimed Spaces heard that this place was still empty, so they moved the phone company in here. I returned here as a young lineman, a skill I picked up in the wartime, running telephone wires behind enemy lines. We used trees instead of poles. I missed that, actually. They were easier to climb. It's just as well I'm in no shape to be climbing anything these days. The closest I get is patching up the wires in the crystal room for the WEVP folks. The crystal room? Yep, WEVP is actually a cable signal. Not a lot of people down here know all the mechanics of it, but here goes. It's supposed to be a community television, you know? Local. By and for all denizens of the Echo River. But most of us down here spend most of our time on boats, and you can't plug a cable into a boat. So years back, they set up a broadcast relay. They run a wire down to the crystal room, and then it gets beamed out across the river. The rock formations there have a nice resonant quality that naturally amplifies the signal quite a bit, as long as you keep them clean. Listen, miss, if you're interested in WEVP, you should go talk to them directly. They're always looking for volunteers. Take the ferry over to the silo. There's a mail stop there. They don't have a sign or anything, just ask around. I guess I'll get back to this damn old ringer. Poppy's just a little further down if you're dropping off that package. Nice chatting with you. Plaquay. Abel and Eloise, the lovers' couriers. Bred for racing, Abel and Louise spend most of their lives as carrier pigeons in the employ of the Echo River Avian Post. They retired here after Abel was disfigured by an accident with a light aircraft. But old habits are hard to die. Abel and Louise would pick up scraps of paper from the ground, the trash, even pull them out of pockets, and deliver them to other people nearby, to delight or embarrassment. Word spread, and travelers passing through the tunnel began to come prepared with love letters, poems, and other written desires to pass along indirectly to these pigeons. After a hard day's work, Abel and Eloise would always be found nestled closely together in a disused newspaper stand set aside for their habitation, and that's where we left them. Aw. That's fun. Just set it over there by the lamp, sweetie. Thanks. Actually, just a minute. Who does that parcel claim to be from? That's weird. There's no label on it. Well, if we're lucky, it's chocolates from a secret admirer, not a snake from an assassin. So who are you? Do you work for the post office or the tugboat? I only ask because I haven't seen you here before. Was that you I heard just chatting down the hall? I'm just doing Kate a favor, dropping off this package. Kate! I love Kate. She helped deliver both my nieces, one in the hospital, one at the base of a mossy moonlit oak. It was beautiful. I love Kate. I think Loretta's granddaughter used her, too. Oh, Loretta used to work here. Actually, I think quite a few of our former operators have relied some time on Kate's services. Well, now I guess they'll have more time with their little ones. As you can see, all the chairs are empty. It wasn't always like this. When I came to work at the Echo River Central Exchange, there were 12 of us. Loretta, Edna, Meg, Cara, Marie, Lois, Liz, Hester, Angie, Wilma, Connie. I was number 12. Connie and I were hired on the same day, but she showed up early. Marie finished college, and Hester was fired for snapping at a rude caller, but he had it coming, and I hear she did just fine on her own. They hired Beryl, Jenna, and Sachiko, which brought us up to 13, and that was as many operators as we ever had at one time. The power company came along, buying all the lines, and then one day they exchanged as a throw-in. Like it was nothing, and they started phasing us out. Edna, Meg, Kara, and Lois left one Friday evening, and were asked not to come back on Monday morning. Beryl saw the writing on the wall and quickly found employment as a private PBX. They had Jana and Liz stop routing calls and write up some kind of best practices document instead. It was their final task as exchange employees. Some of the girls were reassigned to other divisions. Connie, I think, was checking residential meters. Sachiko and Wilma were moved into energy sales, cold calling businesses to see if they need to upgrade their electricity plan. At least they were still on the phone. And that was just Loretta, Angie, and me. We were swamped. The hours were hell and hard on the throat. The voice with the smile became a croak. I was gargling warm salt water in the break room, sipping from a thermos full of hot honey broth stashed under my chair. Oh, and I brought a lot of extended technique to the switchboard in those days. Sounded pretty good to me. Yeah, I'm impressed. So, where was I? Hot honey broth and warm salt water. Right, and a healthy dose of slippery elm. I got that one from Kate. So after a few months, it was just me. A new automation strategy was announced, and this place was rechristened Consolidated Auxiliary Switch Number 30. If it's automated, what do you do here? It's not fully automated. There's still gaps in functionality that need a human touch. And you know, it is all about about touch here. Sound is a vibration, a touch you feel in your ear. So my voice is my touch. When we're talking, we're touching, even on the phone. That's an electric touch, an intimate little shock that makes your tiny hairs tremble. That's not even what I mean when I say it's all about touch here. When the power company first tried automating this exchange with fancy new transistor arrays, the switchboard caught fire. It was just too much, too fast. They tried using some clanky old mechanical relays, but then the calls were getting mismatched and out of sync. It was a nightmare. The technicians determined that the phone system down here had been designed ad hoc over decades around the specific tempo of its human operators. So short of replacing the whole thing, not to mention all the wiring, they'd have to work out the exact timing of every little human gesture that goes into routing a phone call. And that, officially, is my role here. I run the switchboard for the whole exchange. Once the work of 12, I'd like to remind you. They have some kind of machine somewhere that tracks how long it takes me to do each little thing. The caller never hears my voice now. They dial, my little indicator switch lights up, I make the connection. Do you miss talking to callers? You know, there's something that bothers me about the process, besides the fact that I'm training my replacement, who isn't even human. Here's what I mean. How long do you think it should take to time my every move and recreate that timing in an automated switchboard? Rough estimate. A couple days? That's what I said, but this has been going on for over a year, and a very dark thought has started to nag at me. What if there is no cheap machine that's going to replace me? What if it's cheaper just to keep me here, filling in for the rhythm of the operators? What if I'm the cheap machine? Why don't you just quit? In this economy? No, you're probably right. Working in silence for peanut shells, waiting to be replaced by a robot, doesn't sound very dignified, does it? The reality is that I've been working here for my whole adult life. I came here as a girl, and I'll leave as a middle-aged woman. I don't know if I'm ready to be her yet. Oh, the parcel, right over there by the lamp is fine. Thanks for dropping that off. Take care. Think of me when you dial 0. Oh, hey, lads. Oh. Did Conway get fully thinged? Did they snatch Conway? Uh-oh. How's he gonna make his delivery if he's fucking snatched? Water sounds and delicate synthesizer music. She returned on the dinghy, alone. She had strong and sudden urge to shut the motor off and let the current take her, but she couldn't work out where that impulse came from, so she did her best to resist it. She met a guitar player pedaling a floating bicycle with his dog in tow. He said they took turns. The water was cold and the floating bicycle, while technically marvelous, wasn't quite buoyant enough for the both of them. Swimming is hard work, the hardest work that dog had ever done, he expected. We'd been traveling this way for most of the night, struggling through the icy water, stopping to recover when they could find a rock large enough for a small campfire. He had his belongings stuffed into a weather guitar case at the end of a thin rope. It floated pretty well, so he only had to keep an eye on it and occasionally free it from a rock or some driftwood it was caught on. She asked if he had a guitar in his case or just clothes. He would have played her something, but the case leaked a bit, and he didn't think it would sound right until he had time to dry it. She met a painter of shipwrecks. He never worked from photographs, so his paintings could be divided into two categories. There were the ones he painted from life, and the Echo River was a good source of these because its currents were so unpredictable and the tunnels so dark. He rendered these in oil paint by lamplight, working for hours cross-legged on the porch of a houseboat/studio. And there were the ones he painted from memory, mostly the memory of a single wreck he encountered as a much younger man, picking up litter where the coastal highway cleaves to the rocky beaches of Northern California. These were done in watercolor. He preferred to work on them in the morning, in a room he rented near the airport in Louisville. He had some postcard-sized sketches in charcoal, too, of the Iron Pariah. It wasn't a wreck exactly, but it felt right. He tried to scribble one down every time he encountered it. Though it was so unpredictable, he was so focused on details, usually just end up with a handful of inscrutable marks. She met a family of 5 on a flat-bottomed skiff. The boat was loaded to capacity with black plastic bags and a few larger pieces of furniture wrapped in a blue tarp. 3 paddled, the 2 adults and the older child. The 2 younger children slept. They'd been traveling all night, first by car and then for the last few hours by boat. Hungry and tired, they didn't plan to stop until they reached West Virginia, where a relative had offered to take them in. The adults were happy to take a break from paddling in weary silence. They asked her about her river journey. She said she was on the way to Sam and Ida's. They'd brought some food. The kids had picked the garden clean earlier in the day, so they'd been snacking on fresh bell peppers and tomatoes, and some crackers, rationed carefully for their trip. They wished her well, paddled on toward West Virginia. She gave in, shut off the motor, and floated for a while. Then she knew what she'd been craving, a moment of silence. Well then. So Conway's gone. Our, I guess you could say, protagonist is gone. He got fully skeletonized and taken by the distillery people. That's weird. I don't know how to feel about that. It's certainly an interesting twist. Act 4, Scene 9. And with that, we'll call the episode, because it's time to do that. So thank you for watching, y'all. I love you next... Sorry, I've been doing this for many episodes at this point. Thanks for watching, y'all. I love you very much. I'll see you next time. Remember, Black Lives Matter, defund the police. Bye-bye!